Okay. All right, all right. What is it that you do that, how do you pour into yourself? Not just in your business, but into yourself. And I know that sometimes some of you will be like, hey, if I'm pouring into my business, I'm pouring into myself. Yes and no. If anything, you do not want to leave yourself behind. And that is one of the things that can definitely happen. We're not having that. We are all about taking care of yourself. We're all about taking action, but what action that you're taking? Because the thing is, the action that you're taking in your business, it can also reflect the action that you're either taking or not taking for yourself. Because one thing that I say, sometimes for some individuals, especially, for us females, entrepreneur, we're trying to do everything, especially for those of you who have a family, kids and or a partner. You cannot do everything. And then especially if there is someone in need. And so this is all about prioritizing you, taking the actions that you need to prioritize you. And I'm going to back up just a little bit. For those of you who do not know me, I am Sharon D. Brown. And I am a licensed clinical social worker, y'all. I really am. I am a therapist and I really do love what I do. And what I have done is I have taken my lived experience, what I've learned in working in the mental health field to bring it on to you. And I'm going to say there are two main things that I've learned, probably a little bit more than that, but is your words. So when I say your words, they can be your thoughts, they can be the words that's coming out of your mouth. Anything to deal with language, words. We all know the saying, not just the saying, it is true. Your tongue can be life and death, and that is so, so true. The other thing is that I've learned is your action, your behaviors, things. What I've come to learn and what I am giving you when I come live is some kind of way, and I'm saying some kind of way, we know how, but generally we're not doing the basic. When I say the basic things, meaning to be able to have the positive self-talk and to continue to do that despite of how you're feeling or thinking, to pour into you, to take the actions that's needed. Like if you need to slow down, that's one thing that I've learned about myself. It's like, ooh, I want to get to the finish line. But even before you get to the finish line, it's about the practice. It's about training. And the thing is, to sustain what you gain is to continue to do that. And that's where the repetition comes into play. And so, what are the things that you are doing that is helping you, not just in your business, but helping you? Are you really taking the time to sit down? Now, one thing I could tell you, I can sit down and pretty much I can sit down and I can binge on self-development information and even on some business related information. I'm still expanding myself in certain areas. I could definitely binge on that. And that is a form of sitting still, but also, it's just sitting still and just doing nothing and just breathing and not even really paying attention to your thoughts. And then sometimes you may want to because they could be telling you something, And so, in saying that, what I've learned, I can do it in that area. But when it comes to the business side, it's like, oh, this is a lot of information. I got to sit down and do what? Yeah. So, it's training my nervous system to be able to sit down and look at a lot of information. It's pretty much very similar to what I did when I was in undergrad, when I was in grad school. Even high school teaches you this. So when it comes to the basic, what I mean, are you able to sit down and just breathe, to sit down and really think about your vision? Because what I've realized with myself is like I was trying to get to the finish line too fast and trying to go through the huddles and everything, but I was leaving some things behind. And that is one of the things that you may be doing too. Just like, oh, I got to get here, I got to do this. And things are happening, and you just want to get to the destination. Even with detours, and even with the storms and the mountains, sometimes in taking heed of what you see or what you hear or what you feel can really make a difference, because of the fact along the way you can miss something. So that's another reason to be able to do that. Now, one thing that I do want to make clear is that when I say to be able to sit still, to be able to sit in silence, it's not always just so that, oh, you can feel so good. That is the goal, but sometimes it is for you to pretty much to take a step back and look at where you are and where you need to go. What is working and what is not working? What do you need to change about yourself? Because sometimes it's not always about in the doing, it's about in the becoming. And we cannot become if we do not sit. And so inaction is an action in and of itself, because it takes a lot sometimes to be able to do that. I don't know about you all. Two things, there's a lot of things that I discovered about myself on this journey. One is that time blindness. And I'm like, where in the world has time gone? You know what I'm saying? I could be working on something and I'm like, why is it taking me so long to do this? I overestimate or underestimate when it comes to the time. What about you? And then the other thing that I have learned about myself in this journey is that I have so much information. I have so much to share with you all. There's a lot of things that I know that I really do want to share, but sometimes I don't take the time to get this information out. I come on here to get some of it out, but also there are other ways of doing that. And so in saying that, are you sitting back to see what do you really need? Because if there is a overflow, we do want some overflows, but sometimes we can be having a lot of overflow, but then don't have a way to pretty much release that overflow, because you want to be able to do that. And that is one of the purpose of sitting still. You're taking action, because sometimes inaction is an action that you need, because if not, you will pretty much end up being in a loop, and you don't want that. You don't want to be in the loop. You really don't. And so how do you go about in looking at what actions that you need to take? Because by you not taking some actions, it can be, you can be overstimulating yourself. You can pretty much feel overwhelmed. And sometimes, y'all, even though the world can be a chaos, but sometimes we create our own chaos because we're not taking actions in the way that we need to. And I'm going to say this, because again, I did say there's two things. It's pretty much with your thoughts, with your actions. When it comes to your action, that's your behaviors, that's your rituals, that is your practices, the things that you put in place. What are you executing? What are you implementing? What are your behaviors? And then when you sit still, you can look at your patterns to see, okay, I'm showing up for this, or I'm not showing up for that. This is what's happening to me. Why am I slowing down? Why am I stalling? And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you don't have it. It just may mean there's something inside you, inside of that, subconscious there, that you're not to realize that either may need to be released, you need to detach yourself. Some things you may need to rethink or reframe of the way that you're looking at something. What is your belief about something? And so, in saying all of that, when it comes to your thoughts, what actions are you taking to improve your thoughts, to become the person that you want to be? Because it's not just, oh, I want to be a good person, oh, I'm a CEO. It really takes behaviors and thought process of doing all of that. And that some people have it naturally, but for most of us, it is a process. Because I know it's been that way for me. And so it is so important for you to really be honest with yourself, because when you're honest with yourself, that is how you are empowering your evolution. Because if you're not honest with yourself or where you are, what your needs are, what kind of support that you may need, then you may be holding yourself back. And then one thing I want to say too, when I say that, it's not a blaming thing, y'all. A lot of this stuff is kind of like human nature that happens, but the more that you are aware of where you are and the things that you're doing, then you're able to intervene. Yes, you can go to others, and being in community is really, really helpful because of the fact you can get feedback. And not only that, I always say too, one, let me say this first, you're going to get the most the more that you participate. But just by being in rooms and observing and listening and having some conversations, you learn so much about yourself. Because there are times I'm in certain groups and someone can say something and I'm like, ooh, yeah, I have that experience too. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure the same is for you. And so, if anything, it is so important for you to be able to show up for yourself. But how do you show up for yourself? Do you end up giving in to the thoughts that you have about yourself? What story? Again, stories, words, they have a great impact because sometimes they may need to be changed, even though certain things may have happened, you may have had certain experiences, but do not allow those things to stop you from your calling. If anything, they may be a part of it. It's like how much I did not like experiencing the breakup where I cried for 40 days and 40 nights. And that was really mainly because I was not expecting this. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought we were good. You know what I'm saying? But what I can say, it reveals so much about me. And when I say that, I'm pretty sure some of it played a part of it, but for the most part, whatsoever, it's like, of course, it takes two, right? But what it revealed about me is some things I just didn't know about myself. I've talked about that before, but I'll talk about that again in another video. The main thing is I had to come to terms with certain things, because in the beginning, I was blaming the other person. How come you didn't let me know? How come you didn't say something? Even though I still believe that that is true, but I had to sit with myself. And then the healing process had revealed certain things about myself. Is what it is. But what I will say is that it has brought so many gifts. It's like I knew I was going to be okay, even though I was crying for 40 days. It was just getting through that. And one of the things that I do, a couple of things I did to get through that, in that I had to change the way that I was thinking. Anytime an intrusive thought came, anytime something, I didn't like, I had to reframe it. I had to replace it with something positive. And especially if it was words that the person had said. And I was like, nah, that is not me. That's your perception. Because remember, when it comes to other people's perception, it's through their lenses. It's not always the reality of things. It's their reality, but it doesn't mean that it's really true per se. In saying that, I had to reframe and pretty much change the way that I was thinking and install and remind myself of who I am and have that positive self-talk. So that was the words, but that was also an action too. Now, one thing that I will say, well, let me say this first, is that the one thing that I did is I went into yoga class because I knew that talk therapy wasn't going to do me any good, because one thing that people don't talk about is the visceral effect that experiences have on us. You feel so bad, and you do feel it in your body. A lot of times you don't feel like doing anything, but having somatic and embodiment practices, breathing and really focusing on that, being able to move, dance, just doing things with your body is really so important. So that is taking action. That some of those become rituals and practices, and those are the things that really help you. So the thing is, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, what I discovered in being in the mental health field, and this is on the medical side as well as mental health. And remember, mental health is about your well-being, the state of your well-being, the state of your mind when it comes to that. But what I've seen with mental health and even medical, because with medical, with my parents, medical mayhem, and just in seeing others as well, is that we don't do the basic. Let's just say sitting down for 5 minutes, start off with a minute and just breathe. If you're able to go outside and see the sunshine, see, especially if you're around trees and things like that, because of the fact when we don't do that, that impacts you too. It allows all that stress to live inside your body. And with stress, it's kind of like it's going to happen anyway. So we have to have practices that's going to offset that, to override to override your thought processes, to override that knee-jerk reaction. So what are the things that you are doing so that you can be well? Because of the fact, when you are feeling down and don't want to do anything or feeling a certain kind of way, that impacts how you think, and it impacts your action, because sometimes you end up not doing the things that need to be done to get your message out, not doing the things that need to be done for your calling, not doing the things that need to be done when it comes to your movement. And so one of the ways that you can get reminders of doing that is to come inside Fortitude and Free Circle. With Fortitude and Free Circle, it is for female entrepreneurs who are 40 plus. Y'all, I'm not that far from 60. Oh, I can't believe it. It's me, and I don't even believe it myself. Anyway, so with Fortitude and Free Circle, it is for female entrepreneurs, primarily for female entrepreneurs who are 40 plus, so that you can build the discipline to sit in silence. There are some other rituals and things like that, and you can embrace the challenges where you're not where you're not running away from the challenges. You're taking them head on. You're embracing them, because to be honest, a lot of time we can learn from them. Because the other thing is, y'all, when we run away from them, they're gonna come back. Most of the time they come back, and when they come back with a vengeance. And the other thing that we do is help you to sustain resilience. Kind of going back to the basics. What are the regular things that you're doing on a regular basis? What are the things that you're saying? What rituals that you have? The other thing that I learned too is that it takes reminders. There are some things that we can remind ourselves of, but even though we are responsible for everything, but it's almost like you set yourself up for accountability, because it really does help, especially when you're not naturally inclined to do things. Like when it comes to the business side, I'm not naturally inclined. That's not a natural incline. I'm installing those things for it to become more natural, but it's not a natural inclination for me. And for a lot of individuals, when it comes to, being well, like people want to be healthy, but how you're pouring into yourself. What are the things that you are doing to be healthy and well? Are you, having affirmation sessions with yourself on a daily basis? Are you sitting still to allow, the breath to come within your entire body so that you can reset your nervous system? And resetting your nervous system, y'all, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It's just something that we as human, it's the basic, it's the standard of being human that is very beneficial. And when we don't do it, to be honest, is that it's wear and tear on your mind, wear and tear on your body, on your heart over time, which leads to other things as well. So over here with Fortitude and Free Circle, we're all about being well. And because that's going to help you in your business too. And anything when it comes to having a calling, purpose driven, being an entrepreneurship, it is all about personal development, self-development. It is going to have, your inadequacies. Relationships are like that too, especially intimate relationships. Your insecurities, inadequacies, any fears that you may have, any wounds. And a lot of this stuff, to be honest, is unconscious. A lot of times you don't even know. You don't even know what's going on. But in saying all of that, being inside the circle to help remind you, to give you that nudge to say, hey, take 5 to Thrive Today wellness booster so that you can pretty much sustain your resilience in that. And so don't be so hard on yourself, but at the same time, do the thing. Because if you don't do the thing, then you won't do the thing. And you do that thing by, when it comes to your thoughts, the words that you say, and even the words that you don't say, y'all. And it comes to your action, your behaviors. And so retrain yourself. It takes a lot to be human. Yeah, we want the easy road, but in order to get the easy road, you got to put some work. So it's down to the basic, because you can breathe. You breathe on your own, but no, it's intentional breathing that is necessary. It really is, because you want to recalibrate your nervous system, your body, so that it can do the thing that it needs to be done, so that you won't be overstimulated, overwhelmed, and you can glide through the chaos. And Fortitude and Free Circle helps you with that. So if you want to learn more about Fortitude and Free Circle, comment circle. And if you want to just join, comment circle as well. And so remember, 2 things that is important no matter where you are is your thoughts and your actions. How are you feeding and fueling those things? Because if not, external things will take over you, and you don't want that. So it is up to you of not just what you pour into yourself, but how are you intervening, how are you overriding things that may not belong to you, because you don't want that at all. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I will see you all next time. And just remember, your thoughts and your actions are key.